All right, we are going to start making our kaleidoscope. Um, and these are the notes that you're going to need to take. So I will pause this video as we go along to let you do some writing and some drawing. But you don't have to write the word notes, but please label it kaleidoscope. And what you're going to do is about the size of your hand. I'm going to make a little mark up here and a little mark down there just to kind of make sure it's big enough for our notes. And we're going to make a shape that is kind of like a triangle. Let's open it up. But at the bottom, we're going to make it have a little smile line so it looks more like a cone. And this is going to be where we make our basic design. So go ahead and do that. Now we are going to do some elements of this kaleidoscope that will help make it more successful. And it'll be part of your grading that you have each one of these elements. So the first thing, let's work from the top down. Let's go, you need to have something going in this top section. Okay, so you'll need something along the top. Go ahead and write that. You can also, on this top section, you want to think of it as a shape, because what's going to happen, this shape is going to be repeated, okay? So if I wanted to, I could put a little circle. You don't have to do this, but you could put a circle in there that could be maybe a different color, so that dot will get repeated. And by the way, that's about as small as you should make anything. That might be about the size of an eraser or so. You don't want to draw, you do not draw lots of tiny little things. People sometimes want to make a chain, a little chain or something like that. Don't do that kind of stuff. Keep things kind of bolder and simpler. All right, as we go down, we need to make something go across the middle area. And I don't mean exactly in the middle, but just let it kind of go through the middle. And I can just make a little, just making this up as I go along. Now you do not want to stop with one line. Okay, you want to make it appear that it's a shape of something. So there, I can always adjust this too. So you want to think of this thing as a shape, kind of like positive space. So go ahead and do that. So we have something going through the middle. And label it like that. We also need something that overlaps. So many times it happens with this item that's in the center. And sometimes you let it go all the way across, but you don't have to. I'm going to make something, going to come back here, and again, I'm not sure where this is going to go yet, but I'm going to make that look like it goes behind. I'm going to make it come under here. I'll let it go ahead and touch the edge like it's connected, and I'll let this part maybe have kind of a hook to it. So that part right there, there's an overlap. So this is an item that's connected. So if this is orange, it'll be orange down here too. It'll look like it's connected. So we need an overlap. Go ahead and do that. There you go. All right, another thing we need is something that goes along the bottom. And it doesn't have to be real fancy. It should not just be one single line. It should have some kind of stylistic element to it. It can have these spikes. It doesn't have to be equal the whole way across, but do not let it be super skinny. Don't draw a line way down here. We want to, it can be kind of different. It can be very scalloped and very kind of the same, an S curve. And with the shape, we're thinking of this area right here as a positive space. So if that was, a blue tone or something, that would be totally fine. So we need something going across the bottom. Go ahead and do that. You don't have to make yours like mine, not at all. The other thing we need is something that just hangs out over on the edge, and only on the edge. And it can overlap, it doesn't have to. I'll make something look like it kind of follows that, but it doesn't have to. So that only touches the edge. Again, it can overlap, it can be bigger than that, but don't make something really small like that again. So we have an edge element. Do that. Now, as you can see, I have filled up quite a bit of this space. And honestly, I would not do extra stuff. The only extras you might do is maybe making some adjustments. So if I went up here and let a little thing like that happen, if I wanted to fill up that space a little bit more. So we can definitely see where our positive shapes are. And kind of like the snowboard we did a long time ago, remember those shapes that you put in front of a background. So you can kind of think of these areas back here as a background. And then what's going to happen is after you do your notes, you're going to get this page, okay? And you're going to take these notes with those ideas, and I'm going to ask you to make 3 separate versions of your design that have each one of these elements. Each one needs to be distinctly different. You can borrow a couple of ideas, but they should really be different from each other. And on this page, obviously put your name. On this page is only doing the outlining of the design. So you can literally just cross out these labels. We will use them again later. And if I were you, you don't have to go in the order that we did. You can start with your outside element first, but draw lightly. Okay, draw lightly at first, so you can make some easy adjustments. Okay, so are you just going to do 3 of those, and there will be some slides to help support you as well, and I'll be there to help. But make sure that you refer to your notes, and each one of these designs needs to have each one of these elements. There you go. Now, as you're designing, there are a few limitations that actually help you. First of all, after you create a design, it's a good idea to outline it nice and dark so you can see it. It's also a good idea to just very lightly, like we've done in the past, just barely shade in what's considered the negative space so you can kind of see where your shapes are. Also, we want to make it non-objective once again. We don't want to try to draw things. Like don't draw somebody's hand or don't draw a face. Don't try to draw things that are recognizable. Let these shapes just kind of be abstract or non-objective. The only exception to that is I'll make one very light over here, but I may not keep it. If you wanted to do something like this, see how that's half of a heart? Because this pattern gets repeated. Okay, so when it gets repeated, you'll have the other half of the heart there. Simple shapes like that are okay. But don't try to draw things that you can recognize and things that will be very difficult to reproduce in color and make look real. That's not the point of this one. All right, there you go. All right, once you start designing your kaleidoscope piece, you can take these little tools that we have in class, and it really does help. So watch how I'm going to take this mirror, and each table will have a pair of mirrors. See how there you can kind of see what it's going to start to look like. Okay, and then you put the other mirror on there and you line it up just on the edge. And check it out, you can see what the whole thing is going to look like. Okay, and then you can start to make some corrections. So if I want to, I can go in here and add a little piece there and see what it's going to look like. I can start to design my overlap, and I'm going to just kind of make something up here really fast. This is going to overlap, and I'm going to bring it over and make it overlap like that. And kind of touch that up. Then I can go in and see what improvements I've made. And you will see that something that's relatively simple on your design will have certainly an element of complexity when it gets repeated like that. And you'll be surprised at the shapes that happen. See, already that's looking pretty cool. So use these mirrors. Okay, they're that big right there. Kind of share them, take a quick look and put them back in the center of the table so everybody else has access to them. And these mirrors are tools for your artwork, so make sure to use them appropriately. And there you go. That really helps a lot.